are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 649. This episode is being brought to you by Autograph. Download the Autograph app and use code NYKP, and you can win a lot of great prizes, such as heavily discounted playoff tickets, signed autograph jerseys. They did last week. They did a Miles McBride autograph signing, and basically you use the app, you view Knicks content, and you get points, and you use those points to have a chance at prizes. So that's Autograph app. Use code NYKP. Mark, how you doing?
I am doing great. I think last show we were going into, we were not so confident about Game 6. I think we were confident. You were super confident. I was concerned because I'm just a Knicks fan. And now I am feeling really great. Game 6 was amazing. And the Knicks get to play the Pacers very soon, which I'm feeling unbelievable about that series. How are you doing, Jay?
I'm feeling pretty good. That was an insane series. The point total for the two teams had Knicks at +1 after 6 games. So one of the closest series we've had pretty much ever. It was one of those where the Knicks were killing them at the beginning. Philly came all the way back. MSG was silent. Everybody was in meltdown mode going, here we go again. And then the Knicks finally pulled it off, had a great win, and it was a tough opponent, and they beat them. So no real complaints. I mean,
it was awesome. Yeah.
The Knicks only played 7 guys like the last 2 games. I really think that was just because Embiid is so big that Tibbs didn't really want to put in Precious. I expect to see an 8-man rotation going into the next series. I think we'll see a lot more Precious, and I also think Precious, it might be a little better a matchup with Turner, because Turner plays outside a lot more, and Mitch has trouble going out to the 3-point line. So I think that's a good opportunity for Precious to shine a little bit.
So I 100% disagree with you. I think we're going with 7-man rotation. I think Tibbs with the makeup of this team prefers that right now. I think he thinks that I think Precious is only there if Mitch and Ihart aren't effective. So if they look not effective, then he'll go to Precious. But Precious is only going to play the center position. He's not playing any other position. I know people talk about Burks coming in. I don't think Burks is going to play.
I don't think Burks will play either.
Yeah, I think they're going with a 7-man rotation. It is what it is. If they had Bogdanovich, we'd go with an 8-man. But you got to go with what you have. And you know what? Indiana's playing an 8-man rotation. It's not like they're playing like a 10-man rotation. They're playing one extra guy. Some other guys get in here and there, but they're basically playing 3 guys off the bench.
I get it, but that one extra guy means that other players don't have to play 45 minutes a game. I don't think you can win 4 straight rounds playing 7 guys. I don't think it's ever been done before. I don't think it ever will. It's just too much.
Okay, well, the Knicks are going to try that, so we're going to see how it goes. Do you see Precious being on the floor with Mitch or Ihart?
It's not like Precious gave them bad minutes in the Philly series. It was actually really good minutes, and when Turner
he was only on when Mitch Mitch was out. Like Precious is only. Do you think Precious is going to play play power forward at all?
Probably not, but I think you could play Precious when Turner sits.
Right. I mean, you could play Precious if Mitch or Ihart are not in the game.
Yeah.
They're both not in the game, but I think his preference is going to be having Mitch and Ihart out there. And unless they struggle, Precious is not playing.
I mean, not even if Turner sits. I just think Precious is a better defender for a Turner type of player.
You think so?
I do.
I mean, it's reasonable to say that because he can shoot from far. I don't think Turner is the best. I think Turner's 3-point shooting is like not that you want to let him shoot threes, but I don't think he's going to kill us. He's not the one I'm worried about for threes.
Well, don't look at his numbers for the prior series then.
Oh, was it that good?
Yeah, it's like 48% or something.
Ah, motherfucker! Oh, god damn it! Now I'm worried.
Yeah, he was he destroyed Milwaukee from three. It was insane.
So the series we just had was awesome. I mean, we're biased as Knicks fans, but like this was maybe the best first round series the last decade or whatever. This was an awesome series. Knicks won, very close. I think also beyond the 1 point difference between the teams, I think Brunson and Embiid had a 1 point difference also, with Brunson scoring one more point than him. Brunson had insane statistics for the series. I think he averaged 35 points a game, 9 assists for the entire series, averaged 41 points over the final 4 games. He averaged 41.8 points, 10.3 assists, just absurd statistics.
Mm-hmm.
He's on pace to have the single greatest scoring postseason in Knicks history. He's averaging 35.5 points a game. The second highest is Bernard King. Third is Ewing. Fourth is Melo. Brunson has been absurd. Are you worried about the Pacers? My first question for you, actually, Jay, is forgetting you're worried about the Pacers. Will you be more disappointed if Knicks lose the Pacers than if they lost to the Sixers?
No.
Is that a crazy question?
No, I don't think it's a crazy question. I just think the losing in the first round, I think in general would have been more disappointing. Also, the way all those Philly fans just kept popping up in all our mentions unprovoked, it made me want to beat them even more. Also, like there's no Embiid on the Pacers where I feel like he's just like they're flopping and they're playing dirty. Like if they're playing like that, I really, really want to beat that team. Like that's the way I feel anytime. Like if the Knicks played a James Harden team, like anybody who's flopping or playing dirty, I really want to beat them.
So I think the Pacers fans will pop up in our feeds.
I know they will. I mean, last year Heat and Cavs fans did too, but I don't expect them to be as ridiculous as the other three teams for some reason. I
don't know about that, but so here's how I think about it. Like the Philly series was all those reasons you gave were great reasons. Embiid's a bitch. There were so many annoying things in that series, and you really wanted to win that, and I would be insanely disappointed if the Knicks had lost.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference here, I feel, is that Embiid is still one of the best players in the league. Maxey looked insane, and Philly, despite that they're a much better team than their record, they are a better team than the Pacers. I feel like the Knicks have been given a gift with the second round. If they played the Bucks with Giannis, I would have said, "Well, Giannis is tough. This is a tough series. Like I would take the loss if we lose and be like still satisfied with the season." I think I'm set up to be more disappointed if the Knicks lose to the Pacers because you've been handed a gift. Not that this is going to be an easy series, but the Knicks are flat out a better team than the Pacers. I can't say the Knicks were flat out a better team than the Sixers going in, but here, Knicks are flat out better.
Yeah, it would. If the Knicks had to play a Giannis Bucks team in the second round and say they won, they would have had to play 3 out of the top 5 MVP finalists in 3 straight rounds with Tatum, Embiid, and Giannis. That's just insane. So I think it's going to be a completely different series because Philly was really good defensively and Indiana's really good offensively and not good defensively at all. So it's
terrible defensively.
Yeah, so it's a completely different series. My only concern is that they play at such a fast pace, and the Knicks being as shorthanded as they are, is fatigue going to be an issue?
No, there are a lot of concerns to have going in. I think the Knicks are a better team. They should beat them. I feel like if I look at those two teams, I feel like Philly, I could have accepted at some point a loss to them and been like, hey, we'll come back with Randall. I just like, it's just going to be really disappointing to lose to the Pacers when you're just the better team.
Yeah, but there's another series where I'm like, I really would have liked to see Randall against Siakam.
Yeah, absolutely. I posted a question. We asked people what they were worried about going into the series. And there was one comment I thought was interesting. I mean, there were plenty of good comments, but this comment was by Noah Harris. Wrote, as a Pacer fan, my biggest concern is if the Knicks can control pace and dominate the boards. Games Bucks took, it was dominant on the offensive glass and slowing us down with made shots. You will not win a shootout with us versus the Pacers are the freshest team due to high bench usage. Though I really think I'm looking at all the games, they really played mostly three players off the bench. But
it was McConnell, Toppin, and Nesmith? Shepard?
No, Nesmith starts. Shepard. Shepard's a rookie. They don't seem to play their other. I guess Obi beat out the other power forward guy.
Right.
Jarris
Walker.
His name is. Yes, Jarris Walker does not seem to play very much. There's been scattered minutes, but they seem to basically go with these three guys. So, as far as the boards, to beat the Pacers, the Knicks have to dominate the board. This is like a no question thing, and the Knicks should be able to do this.
Yeah.
How do you think the Knicks are going to be able to control the pace?
I think that's going to be tough. I mean, maybe because their defense is so good. Like, if you're, if they're, I don't think they're going to be able to go on a fast break as much with the Knicks defense.
I think the Knicks have to get turnovers. When they had OG, they beat the Pacers. I think they got to get turnovers. They got to. I mean, I guess the things I'm going towards are I don't think Halliburton's as good as he was earlier in the season. And I think Knicks can slow him down anyway.
Yeah.
The real thing is the Pacers get hot from three. That's the biggest concern of all.
Yeah.
When they're just hitting their threes and just not with no like they have a bunch of guys that can shoot threes. I didn't realize Turner was crushing it last series. I don't know. How do you think I guess they slow them down with their defense, which is the Knicks. I just feel the Knicks defense beats the Pacers offense.
Yeah. I mean, want to just do matchup by matchup?
Let's do it. Why not? Okay, so and who's going to guard? Do you want to do it based on position to position, or who we think is going to guard who?
Let's do who I
Just
think.
like Naismith is their small forward, but OG's not going to guard him. I think OG's guarding Siakam.
Yes. Okay, so let's start with that. OG and Siakam.
Okay. I'm taking OG. Well, Siakam is going to be better offensively, but I think I think OG will neutralize him on offense. Flat out, I give OG this, but I'm biased. What do you think?
I think this matchup is very close, because of what you said. Like, even if OG limits Siakam, it'll probably be almost a wash points wise. Just Siakam generally scores more in anyway, so I think that one's going to be very close.
I don't want to ruin this for you, Jay. I'm going 5-0.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm taking OG over Siakam. I guess it's definitely close, but I have much more faith in OG than I have in Siakam. Center position: Miles Turner versus Ihart. I am taking Ihart because I know Miles can shoot the three and blah blah blah. I think Ihart will kill him on the inside. Miles, the most biggest danger is Miles pulls Ihart away from the basket too often on offense. But I think Ihart on the boards, he's going to be great on the boards, the block shots. I'm taking Ihart over him, and sure, it's close. What do you think?
I think it's close. I would probably give the nod to Turner on this one.
Okay, I didn't know you weren't a Knicks fan. Halliburton versus Brunson. Yes, Halliburton's. He's so amazing. Oh my God, Halliburton. Brunson's better.
Yeah, I mean that's the easiest one.
Clearly,
and
I guess it's close, but Brunson's better.
The way they've been playing lately, I don't even know how close it is at this point.
If Halliburton doesn't play amazing, the Pacers are not winning.
Yeah,
they need Halliburton to play full Halliburton. For whatever reason, since he came back from his injury, he has not been 100% Halliburton. And that's a big enough difference in the series alone.
Yeah, agreed.
You can go Nembhard versus DiVincenzo. Nembhard was shot really well last series.
Mm-hmm.
I The fact that the Pacers don't play defense, I just don't think this is going to hold up in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Knicks play
I
better
mean-
defense. Devo plays better defense.
I think Debo's underrated on defense at this point. I definitely give the nod to Debo on this.
Yeah, and I guess I said based on who they're going to guard, and I guess in fairness, actually, I mean, I guess I compared Brunson and Halliburton, but I don't think Brunson's guarding Halliburton. I'm assuming Debo and McBride are on Halliburton.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, but I'll compare them against Nembhard so we can win 5-0. And Naismith versus Josh Hart. Naismith was one of the best 3-point shooters in the league this year. He's a very solid player. He looked better much better than when he was on Boston. Josh Hart has just been amazing, and he hit that amazing 3 in Game 6.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could pick against him.
Yeah, it's a lot of these matchups are just offense versus defense.
It really is. If you go to the bench, Obi versus McBride, which kind of makes no sense. They play completely different positions.
Well, I guess it would be
I'll take
McConnell versus McBride.
Fine. I wanted to compare the two of them, but fine. I'm going to take McConnell. I hate TJ McConnell, not because he's some kind of bitch player, not because of anything like he's a fine player. He just always burns the Knicks. And does McConnell drive you crazy?
He's one of those guys where if he's on your team, you love him, and if not, yeah, he's like in the like Caruso, and probably Josh Hart realm, where it's just like if you're playing against him, you hate him.
My assumption is, without ever looking at his stats, is that his stats are noticeably better his entire career against the Knicks than anyone else.
Very possible.
He's always annoyed the shit when he was on Philly. Any other team he's been on, he's annoyed the shit out of me. He's going to annoy me this series. I'm taking McBride over him, but what do you think? You going to take McBride over him, or are you going to be like a?
No, I'd take McBride over him.
Okay. So Obi, I guess, is versus Mitch.
Yeah, it would have to be if the Knicks are only going to play 7 guys. I mean,
Mitch versus everyone else on the bench.
yeah, I mean, Obi's been playing small ball 5 and the 4, so yeah, Obi, Mitch. I guess it would be Obi and either
Obi had
and Shepherd.
Yeah.
For Mitch, or if you want to say Precious might play, then it would be like whatever.
Shepherd's a guard, I guess. It's almost really like McConnell and whatever. We're playing 7 versus 8 here.
Yeah.
Obi, if you put him against Mitch, I just take Mitch any day. And I would take Precious over Obi. That's in a heartbeat also.
Yeah.
Obi had one really good game 6. He played great, shot the ball really well. Obi's not beating us. He'll have a couple shots. I'm not concerned about Obi. I don't think he plays a lick of defense. I don't think he's the most. All the good things about Obi. I don't think he's a high IQ player overall. I think just an example when he just went for like a windmill dunk against the Knicks in like a game and just like for no good reason and missed the dunk.
Yeah.
It's like in game you do not go for a highlight reel dunk. That's just like a dumb play,
Especially
whether you
down.
can hit it or not.
Especially in a close game too.
Yeah. So I know you can say the matchup up close and blah blah blah. I easily give this to what's your prediction for the series, Jay?
I think 6.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Knicks in 5.
I hope so.
I think I use my crystal ball. I had said the Knicks in 5 over Philly. I think I just got it the wrong. I had the wrong series. I knew the answer, but I had the wrong series. It was Philly in 6, and Knicks in over Philly in 6, and the Knicks over the Pacers in 5. I don't think it'll be a slugfest. I think the Knicks will come out. Like, one thing that you could be worried about is the Knicks will not take the Pacers as seriously. They come out after the slugfest and have a letdown after that. I don't think the Knicks are the kind of team to do that because Tibbs trains them to fight every night, and Brunson and the crew, like, they're going to take this matchup hardcore seriously.
Yeah. I don't think, and I think they know the history between the two teams too. I don't think they're going to take it lightly. Tibbs, after Game 6, said in a post-game interview that he was giving the team until midnight to celebrate, and at the time of the interview, I believe it was 11:57. So he's definitely going at it.
he's a psycho when it comes to basketball.
Yeah.
I don't think he looks at the first round of any reason, especially after being the second round last year. He wants at the very least to be in the conference finals. They asked Brunson. So again, Carlisle coached Brunson when he first came into the league. He limited his minutes in the playoffs, and they basically asked Brunson, like, well, playing against Carlisle and the fact that he just played you 10 minutes in Game 7 of the 21 playoffs, will that like be extra motivation because you showed this coach?
Mm-hmm.
And basically he was like, in all honesty, I said this last time, you're in the playoffs now. There is no extra motivation.
I like
that
that
was
attitude.
a great response.
Yeah, I like that attitude.
Yeah, I just thought it was a great response. And as far as that, they asked Tibbs some questions. I thought it was also interesting. They asked him on understanding the challenges that face the Pacers. Pacers will give the Knicks. He said, we got to study them well, know them inside and out. When the ball goes up, we have to be strong on both sides of the ball. I think Tibbs is studying that team so hardcore prior to tomorrow night's game.
Yeah.
He said possibly expanding the rotation. He said we could. You have to look at who they're playing as well. They've cut back, so it's all about matchups.
Okay, so I mean, we could see Precious, we could see Alec Burks, depending on matchups.
No, I don't think Alec Burks should even pack sneakers. I don't think Burks is playing. I would be shocked if he's playing. Outside of a game where they blow out, I don't think he's playing any meaningful minutes. I see what you're saying about Precious playing. I think he could do a good job against Turner. I just think basically he's only coming in if maybe Tibbs decides to give his center some extra rest and does a 3-man rotation for the center position.
I just don't think, unless they're sweeping the Pacers, I don't think it's a good idea to keep playing everybody 40-something minutes a game.
Okay, but
when I say 40-something, I mean like 46. Like, you can get that down to like 42, 43. Like, I know it's only a few minutes, but sometimes that's all it takes. I mean, these guys look gassed at the end of the last game.
DiVincenzo played 48 last game. Josh Hart played 46. The minutes are, I mean, like if you're in the minutes place right now, you're insane. But these guys are playing crazy minutes. It's just not like it is what it is in the playoffs. Like,
I mean, I get you
have a few games remaining,
especially when that was Game 6. You do not want to go to a Game 7. Anything can happen in a Game 7. I get that was kind of like their closeout game, and everybody plays crazy minutes. But they also did that in the game before and the game before. So like,
yeah,
I mean, honestly, I don't think you could keep doing that.
I mean, that's also why you need Randall back, and you need to expand. You need more options going into next year on the bench. But that's a conversation for after we win the finals. As far as I'm looking at the Pacers, like their Game 6, Nembhard had the most minutes at 37.
Mm-hmm.
Pacers are not going as hardcore in the minutes, but they also had a kind of a blowout. Let me look at the game before, actually.
Yeah, I
guess all the games, the Pacers didn't have any. Pacers, every one of the games was like one way or the other. It wasn't like they didn't have any. They had no games that went down to the wire against the Bucks.
Right. Yeah.
They had one game. They had one game that went on the wire. Sorry, it was 121 final overtime. Just looking at the minutes there, and every one of the Pacers played over 40 minutes in that series.
Mm-hmm.
In that game. I mean, I also just they barely beat the Bucks, and the Bucks didn't have Giannis. So, and they were missing Dame for part of the series. It gives me very if the Pacers can barely beat the Bucks without Giannis, the Knicks should crush them.
I mean, I don't want to get too cocky, but yeah, losing a game without Giannis or Dame was kind of crazy, and then barely winning in 6 without Giannis the whole series. I don't know. Didn't exactly instill fear into me, but I definitely, until I see what the matchups look like and how Game 1 looks like, I don't want to go in too cocky.
Let's go some questions. Nomad 416 writes, what's OG's next contract going to look like? And how confident are you in giving him a large 5-year contract? He's often injured and has a long list of them.
I think he's getting 4 years, 140. $35 million a year.
I think they could do 5 years. Do you think they'll do 5 years?
Maybe. I think he's getting about 35. So 175.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, OG is what, 27? 26.
Yeah, I mean,
All their
everybody, the whole roster is like 26, 27.
If you bring OG back and iHeart back, you've locked up a roster at age where the whole roster's around 20, going into basically their prime. You could basically have this team for the next 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
with some minor changes, but like you'd want to kind of go all in on this roster at this point.
I mean,
Knicks-
I've said it before. I think if Randall and Boggs were here, this is a championship roster, and bringing everybody back, maybe replacing Bogdanovich with somebody else and adding a draft pick or two, like just bring everybody back and roll it back again. Because I mean, think about it. Every game of the Philly series was like 1 or 2 points. You don't think Randall would have made like a 2-point difference? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
that could have been a sweep.
He takes a lot of pressure off Brunson. Like, there's no question. I also think Pacers have. I think the Knicks are going to beat the Pacers anyway, but they have no chance that the Knicks had Randall.
Yeah.
Knicks in 6 worldwide Knicks writes. Will we see Precious come in more in this series based on the likely matchups?
Well, apparently you don't, but I do.
I can see. I mean, I can see if the Pacers are always running, maybe he plays around with the center position and plays Precious some there. But I don't see Precious. I don't see the Knicks having 2 bigs on the floor at any point.
No, I'm not saying 2 bigs, but like if Obi comes in for Turner, Obi's really fast. I don't think Mitch is keeping up with him. So
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I think
It's a fair
Precious
point. Like,
is a much better matchup.
you think he's a much better. So, I guess if Obi is the 5 ball is the center and the small center, the small ball center. Yeah, in some ways, I guess it can make sense to go to a Precious. But on the other hand, like if you're feeding Mitch or Highheart down low and Obi's the center, you should be able to take advantage of that on offense.
You should. I guess it depends how. But I can't see Mitch keeping up. Like if he's getting burnt every time down the court, like that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. We have to see how this goes. Ty writes, who will be the X factor for both teams in this series?
I think it's Dante for the Knicks, and probably Pacers. I think Turner and Halliburton are going to be good. It's going to be probably Nesmith.
Yeah, I was going to say if he can become up big for them, that's a huge just another guy who could really score can make a big difference.
I mean, Siakam's a really good player, but he's not the way he was in Toronto, right? Like,
no, well, I guess in some ways I think Turner, to a certain extent, if Turner can have a really good series, he presents a real problem for the Knicks.
I mean, Siakam's numbers actually are almost the same as they were in Toronto. He's shooting way better from 3, but he's shooting worse from the 3 free throw line. I mean, yeah, he's about this. I guess it looks like he's playing about the same. I thought he fell off a little bit, but no, it looks like it's about exactly the same.
The thing with the Pacers is they have one of the best offenses, and all the numbers generally look good on offense. But it depends on how they look against a good defense. Usually defenses can't keep up with them. The Knicks have a defense that can keep up with them.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with the Denver-Minnesota series that Denver looked amazing on offense until they came across the best defensive team in the league, and they didn't look so good in Game 1.
Yeah, I felt like when the Knicks played the Pacers in the regular season, when they had OG, they played once or twice with OG. I can't remember.
I think once, but I'm not
whatever.
positive.
I just felt like I remember at least that one game where it seemed like the Pacers tried to keep pace for the first half, and the Knicks defense just wore on them in the second half. It was a third quarter where it seemed like the Knicks took over. Tony Gonzalez writes, the biggest topic, in my opinion, will Tibbs go to an 8-man rotation, and who will it be? We're talking about Precious being in the rotation. There's no one out. Like, do you see them playing Alec Burks? You really think he might play him?
I don't think they will, unless somebody gets into foul trouble. Like, I think 2 people have to. If you have like Dante and Brunson both get into foul trouble, then maybe you have McBride and Burks. But I think for the most part, if only one guy gets in foul trouble, you're going to just see a lot more of McBride. I'm not ruling out Burks because he's not as bad as we saw the last quarter of the season, but I don't think he brings something that the Knicks necessarily like really need.
He's dealing with some kind of shoulder injury that may make his shooting worse. He looked atrocious.
If his shooting's worse, then yeah, I'd rather see Shake Milton out there.
Yeah, but they're not going to play shit. I just don't see the Knicks. Like, the Knicks' depth right now is painful, with only having 7 guys you really can rely on, or maybe a Precious who only can play the position that our 2 centers play, but not having any more guards, I guess, basically to play, or even just like a guy like a Bogdanovich to play. It's frustrating, but it is what it is, and they can correct this in the offseason, but they can't let that be a factor in losing the series.
Yeah, the biggest problem is that Hart has shifted over to the forward position because of the injuries, whereas Hart and McBride you don't need anybody. You don't need any more backups.
I'm assuming Josh Hart is going to continue to play 44 minutes at least a game. They're going to continue to go hardcore in the minutes for these guys and just see what happens. I think OG will just test his elbow. Like, I think the theory with Tibbs will be, you only have a few games here. It is what it is. We have to play every game like it's game 7 in terms of minutes, and let's just see how it goes.
Yeah,
Tibbs was asked about, injured, we're screwed anyway.
Tibbs was asked if he thought about taking Hart out at any point, and he said he never thinks about taking Hart out. So there's that.
You know what I found interesting about this roster is removing Randall because he's injured. Mm-hmm. Pretty much everyone in this team, even with OG to a certain extent, in their previous roles, they had to fight for more minutes. Mm-hmm. Like, if you look for, like, Brunson was a backup, Devo was a backup, Ihart was a backup.
Well, even when Devo was starting, he was like the 4th or 5th option.
Yeah, he wasn't playing insane minutes. Like, he could always use more minutes. Mitch was always struggling to get more minutes, even when he was starting, like, he wasn't getting crazy minutes. Mm-hmm. Josh Hart, the same, was a backup. All these guys, basically, McBride obviously, like, couldn't even get like on the floor for any kind of steady playing time. These are all guys who are like, if my biggest problem is having too many minutes, things are going really well for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're all guys that are like, just be super happy to have all these minutes.
For now, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think you want to do that over the course of like 82-game season, but maybe for the playoffs, they're happy with that. Yeah.
No, but that's why you draft players. You try to make some corrections in the offseason. We're dealing with injuries. Also, if everyone wasn't injured, then you have Bogdanovich and Randall and no issue.
No issue. I mean, the only issue then is probably not enough minutes.
Daniel on Facebook writes, I'm worried about McConnell of all people. Deuce had a tough time covering him from what I recall. How do we stop him? I also think Deuce will have a great series here. He torched them in 1 game this season. Yeah,
I mean, I think we're also playing with a much improved Deuce as well.
Yeah. Like, the first time, like, Knicks had that 1 game where it was right after the RJ IQ trade for OG, but those guys weren't here yet, and Knicks got blown out. Dante had a crazy good game, but the Knicks just, like, were so shorthanded they couldn't keep up. Mm-hmm. That was obviously not the team that we were. Like, the teams have evolved. Both teams have evolved a lot. I mean, obviously, Pacers added Siakam. The Knicks are just a much better team than they were even when they last played the Pacers.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. Knicks got it. So one concern I have is who is going to do the scoring for the Knicks. Brunson, I'm going to pencil him for 35-plus points a game, but who else is scoring?
Well, that's why I said Dante's the X factor. If he's hitting his threes, it's a completely different team. We can't put all of the offense on Brunson every single game either. Just like the minutes, like, I don't think that's sustainable. Even if a guy's going off, he's going to have an off game once in a while. And I know the Knicks won both of his off games in the last series, but I wouldn't count on that. I just think maybe Precious is a little more aggressive. Dante plays more like he did last game. And if McBride keeps playing like this, it's more of a well-rounded team than you would think, based on the fact that Randall and Boggs are out, and both of those guys are like volume scorers. But I think it's just going to take a little more consistency from everybody else, because I felt like during the Philly series, you never knew if a guy was going to have a terrible game or play really well.
Right.
And they just got to be a little more consistent. Maybe Indiana's lack of defense helps with that consistency. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like Philly really played great defense.
They were really good on defense.
They were.
Say what you want about everything else. Like, they were like, Oubre was playing great defense. Like, I didn't even know he was that good on defense. Like, they just had Batum was really good. Like, they were just a really good defensive team.
I was watching that being like, maybe the Knicks should try to get Kelly Oubre in the offseason.
If they could switch Bogdanovich's contract for Oubre's, I would happily do that.
I would do it in a heartbeat. Yeah, that would be a huge difference. I didn't realize Oubre was such a good defender.
And he was hitting shots too. He was hitting, another 3-point threat out there that can never hurt.
Yeah, and Nick Nurse is a great coach. I mean, Rick Carlisle is a very good coach also. I think Josh Hart. Josh Hart gave us he was like our second scoring option for a lot of the games, which is kind of crazy because Josh Hart hasn't been the best scorer this season. But if he continued to play well on offense, Dante can hit shots. It's really hard to beat the Knicks if the other guys are scoring. And OG needs to step up. OG had a good last game. You just need more consistency. That's pretty much, as you said, I think that's what you really need here.
Yeah.
Knicks have to take game one, though.
Absolutely, yeah. They got to set the tone for the series.
I mean, if anything, game 1 and 2.
You don't want to lose home court right away. You also want to get in the opponent's head. If they come out and win by like 15, 20, like,
that'd be brutal.
Pacers are going to start having some doubts, and it could change the series. So you don't want to win by like a point and have them think like, well, we lost it by 1 point in New York, like we got this. You know what I mean?
I think like also you can't be in a shootout with the Pacers. The Pacers, if you're playing games that are going to like 135 to 120, like 130 to 128, like the Knicks are going to lose those games. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the Pacers offense. The Knicks have to. I think the Bucks held the Pacers under 100 points 2 of the games. I think the Knicks can do that also. Mm-hmm. I have no question the Knicks can do that as well. I think the Knicks defense is better than the Bucks defense.
Oh, way better.
Even with Giannis.
Better. Yeah. They did that without Giannis, like with old man Lopez and Dame, who's not good on defense. Like, yeah, it is
feel like this reminds me of somewhat when we went to play Cleveland last year. And everyone was like, Cleveland, like their offense. They're going to be so good. Their offense, you can't stop them. And then the Knicks beat the crap out of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see some of that this series.
Yeah.
I think I think Indiana is going to really have trouble with our centers. Really have trouble with our rebounding. I think Brunson's going to. Who's guarding? Like, I mean, I don't know how great of a job Dave Smith or whoever are going to do on covering Brunson. Like, I feel like Rick Carlisle's a great coach. He can't make up for the fact that he doesn't have really good defensive players in that team.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the difference in play styles. I think it's going to be a fun series.
So Turner's a worry. Siakam is a very good player, and he's been tested in the playoffs. Halliburton. It seems to me if you slow down Halliburton, it's going to be really hard for them to win.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the other series? You want to keep talking about this?
Yeah, before we go to the other series, we are going to be at Stout this Friday for the game at 6:30. So if you want to meet up and have some drinks with us, if you want to watch the game with us, I'm going to reserve a table. So let us know by Tuesday. You can send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon at NY Knicks Podcast. But the best way would be to email us nyknickspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'll post this on Twitter also that we're doing this. And just looking to have a small group of people there. Whoever can make it, great. We're going to watch the game and have a good time rooting for seeing the Knicks. It'll be game
3.
3, right?
Yeah, game 3.
Yes. So we'll see the Knicks go 3-0. It'll be really exciting.
I'm hoping they win in 4 because I have to work out of state the following week, and I don't want to miss any games. So hopefully they win in 4 while Boston and Cleveland make it 7, so I miss 0 games while I'm away.
Yeah. Also, just want to see the Knicks get some extra rest because they're all playing 48 minutes the whole series.
That would also be very, very nice, yeah.
I saw someone that was funny. They were asking Obi Toppin which team his parents are rooting for, and he said, "Well, since Jacob's not playing, my team." And someone wrote, they're like, Tibbs could do the funniest thing ever in this series.
Toppin versus Toppin.
Toppin, have Jacob play like the last 3 minutes of the games. I don't know.
I mean, his
it
brother
should be
probably
awesome.
knows a lot of Obi's moves.
Yeah, hey Jacob, what does Obi do? He stands in the corner or he dunks. That's what he does. If you guys not paying attention,
Right.
yeah. But as far as this series, just beat them. Just freaking beat them. Celtics are going to be a insane matchup. It'll be really a struggle to beat the Celtics. But you got to beat the Pacers.
Yeah. So you're going Celtics over Cavs in how many?
6.
6 sounds about right.
Yeah, I think Donovan Mitchell's going to get hot for a couple games. Yeah, I mean, Orlando almost. I think through halftime, Orlando was winning today.
They were up by 18.
People thought Orlando.
They were up by 18 and just could not score in the third. So
I mean, they completely shot the bed.
yeah. They tried.
Orlando's primed to be a good. They're going to make some major addition to the team this offseason, and they're going to be a struggle. They're going to be a tough team for the Knicks to play going forward.
Orlando was like the island of misfit toys. I'm like, oh, there's Fultz, there's Wendell Carter Jr., like all these like random guys that didn't work out on other teams and are now working out over there. And then combined with like a bunch of good draft picks.
Yeah, they have a good team. I think they will be good going forward. I was talking about like midway through the game. I was like, okay, so the Cavs are going to lose Donovan Mitchell this offseason. They have to trade Donovan Mitchell, and which maybe they do anyway. But I was like, if they had 2 first-round exits in a row, that would be really, really pathetic for the Cavs.
/ absolutely hilarious.
Absolutely hilarious. For all they traded for Donovan Mitchell to lose 2 years in a row in the first round would be ridiculous.
As the higher seed both times, too, would have been funny.
Higher seed both times. They'll give a little bit of a... I mean, the Celtics are just going to beat them. So I guess the fact that the Celtics don't have KP will hurt them a little bit, but I can't see the Celtics losing to the Cavs in 7.
I can't either, but that
Yeah.
would be funny as well.
I'd be so happy to see the Cavs beat the Celtics so the Knicks can beat the Cavs and go to the finals.
Yeah.
And I think the Knicks would have a shot against KP. I'm sorry, a KP-less Either way, I think the Knicks have a shot against the Celtics. They have a real shot against them, but we got to. I can't get to talk about that.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So
the other side of the bracket, or the other side in the West, Minnesota had a hell of a game against Nuggets.
Minnesota's for real.
Yeah, they seem for real. I mean, it's game 1, and Nuggets can definitely still obviously win this series, but I think this is going 7. I think the Wolves have a decent chance of winning the series.
So any surprises before that? Minnesota sweeping Phoenix or Denver beating the Lakers in a gentleman's sweep?
Sorry, what did you say?
Is there any surprises with the first rounds for Minnesota and Denver?
Oh, I mean, I would say I was surprised that the Suns put up so little of a fight. I thought the Suns would have won one game against the team. Did they win one game? They didn't win one game.
No, they got
against
swept,
Minnesota, right?
which I find pretty crazy. Like, I had a feeling trading all their depth for Beal wasn't going to work, but to get swept is just embarrassing.
I thought it was a terrible trade from moment one. I didn't understand it at all. But at the same time, I didn't think they'd get you have Kevin Durant. You think he just steps up and he can get you to a win in the first round of the playoffs. One game, not even winning the series, just one win.
The Kardashian curse is a real thing. I'm telling you.
Durant will not be on the Suns next season. I can guarantee it. There's just no way he's on the Suns.
How how is he going to justify hopping teams again?
I don't think it's going to be his decision. I think the Suns are going to say, we are going nowhere. Let's trade Durant and like figure out how to move forward with this roster.
Try and just play. You know what the funniest part is? Beal has a no trade clause.
He doesn't need a no trade clause. No one wants to trade him.
I know. Nobody
So,
wants his 3 years and 150 million left or whatever it is. But it is funny that even if they found a sucker, he could just be like, nah.
I feel like the Phoenixers were like, well, we can't trade Beal because of the no trade clause. Beal's be like, I waive it, and they're like, well, we can't trade you because your contract's absurd and you're not that good.
Right. Did he get like 7
I-
points in the closeout game or something insane like that?
Something insane. I saw online actually a proposed trade. It was Durant plus I guess a draft pick or two. But basically a Durant Embiid swap. What do you think? They said who says no here?
I mean, roster wise, I feel like it makes more sense for Phoenix because Nurkic is, whatever.
I mean, you still have Booker, you still have Beal, I guess. Obviously,
Yeah,
but
I feel like
now.
Embiid fits better with the the 2 guard lineup. But Durant on Philly, like, does that make them even better? Like now it's just a weird roster. What do you have? Durant playing center? You're not playing Paul Reed.
I think you go get a center somewhere else, but like
Maybe you get Nurkic.
I don't know, you have Durant, Maxey. That seems like a pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know how you get to the next level, but like it would be a pretty interesting trade for both teams. Like both teams are stagnant right now. You have to figure out how to move forward. I don't know. The reason I think the Suns are going to trade Durant is Booker's like 5 or 6 years younger. I think that's it. Like I think you're going to say like I'd rather a 30-year-old Booker than a 36-year-old Durant.
Yeah, and if you're Philly, maybe you're like Embiid is probably never just going to be healthy.
He's never going to be healthy. Yeah, that's a big. Like, and do you want to count on Embiid being healthy next year? Like, are you going to like you really think this is going to work out next year?
Right. I mean, this is like 10 years. How many years has he been healthy? Like 2?
He's not healthy. And that was the thing people said also. They're like, well, maybe the Philly should have like thrown this season just like because Embiid was going to be healthy in the playoffs, and Embiid looked fine in the playoffs, but he was like a little bit hobbled. But you also look at it, and the Philly might say like, Embiid may never be healthy. We just need to go for it every year with Embiid because we don't know if next year will be even worse with his health.
Yeah. I mean, he was limping, but like, how hurt can you be if you're putting up 50 points?
He had enough shots. I don't care whatever conditions he had and blah blah blah. He seemed well enough to like put up. He was well enough to make tons of shots. He just wasn't well enough to like win the game. Like it's an excuse except for the times when he hit was hitting shots.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting swap. And then
Or maybe you do Durant and Nurkic, so that
yeah.
Philly
I
has
mean,
a
I
center.
forget. Maybe you move Nurkic also. Yeah, you don't need him anymore. So maybe he's in the trade as well.
Mm-hmm.
So then the Mavs Thunder. So Mavs beat Clippers. What did you think of that?
We had back-to-back vintage James Harden playoff games, which was just hilarious. Also, Westbrook just started going nuts, and he was swinging at people. He went something like 6 for 32 or something like that in the last few games. Like, just couldn't hit a shot. So between him and Harden, Dallas they got some good big men. That was always their weakness. They made some good moves getting Gafford and Washington at the trade deadline, and it looks like it's working out. And then Kawhi just got his annual injury, and so I don't know.
Guys, don't worry. I will schedule this injury for the playoffs every year.
Clippers having Harden, George, Kawhi, and Westbrook and losing in the first round is almost as embarrassing as Phoenix. I would say not as embarrassing because Kawhi was actually injured and Phoenix was healthy, but it's bad.
I mean, Kawhi for Durant, Kawhi for Embiid. I guess no one's going to trade for Kawhi because they're like, well, he's just not healthy ever.
Yeah. On the other hand, Durant is like 36, so like, how much longer is he going to be productive too?
it's amazing all these star players that are all out in the playoffs now.
Like the old guard is all out. I mean,
All
LeBron,
out.
Curry, Durant, like they're just all out.
Yeah, yeah. Like the league has moved on from Harden. They've moved on from the Clippers. What do you do for the Clippers? Are you really going all in on this roster again next year? Like maybe you make some moves. Maybe you blow it up.
They signed Kawhi to an extension. Now Paul George is due for an extension. He's going to want like $50 million a year. He didn't look particularly good in the playoffs either. Do you sign him?
34 years old, 35 years old.
34 years old with a bunch of injuries. Do you pay him $50 million a year going forward? Like
Someone asked me, they said, like, well, what about trading, like, if the Knicks don't work out this year, you trade Randall for Paul George. I was like, Randall's much younger. Despite the freak injuries the last 2 years, Randall doesn't really seem to get injured.
Yeah.
And Paul George is injured all the time. Paul George is awesome, but, like, I don't know. Like, I'd rather just take Randall 100% of the time on this team.
Yeah. There's no way I'd want Paul George at his age and his contract. You got Randall for like half the salary, 5-6 years younger. Like, no, it's a no.
I'll say I love the NBA soap opera of the offseason when all these guys are like, all these teams are trying to get better and make all these moves. It's been very fun the last few years. I'm dying to see what all these teams do. I'm dying to see what like the Clippers do and the Suns do and Philly does and all these teams that are flailing right now. It'll be kind of a hilarious offseason. Supposedly LeBron will sign with the Lakers and stay, which means LeBron is maybe giving up on trying to win a title.
Yeah, probably. I think, although things always seem to work out for LA, but I will say that Philly is probably going to go all in, keeping Embiid and trying to get an older, probably overpaid star like Durant or Paul George or something like that, or maybe even Jimmy Butler, and then have 2 out of 3 of them injured and Maxi's on an island again.
Yeah. Maybe Butler gets moved to one of these teams. I know the move, actually. Daryl Morey, he already told me. He sent me a private text.
Oh, okay.
He's going all in to get James Harden. He thinks Harden's the piece, the puzzle piece. Like once we get Harden, and he said, like I know we've already had him twice. It didn't work out under me. The third time's the charm. I'm going all in to get Harden.
I mean, that would be pretty funny.
Mavs Thunder. What do you think?
Mavs Thunder. I think Thunder is going to win, but I think this is going to be a close series.
At least 6 games, maybe 7 games also.
Yeah. I do think whoever wins the Minnesota-Denver series is going to the finals, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Thunder have a good chance of going to the finals. Also, I think they're a really good team. I think they weren't really challenged in the first round, so we didn't really get a full we didn't get we didn't see them really struggle at all.
Yeah,
or have to really fight. I think they've got a really good team. They're really deep. I will take the Thunder in 6 over the Mavericks. And I think they have a shot at the finals still.
Okay. I think
they could beat Minnesota. I think they could beat Minnesota or Denver. I think they could beat either team.
I'm going to go Thunder in 7. I think it's going to be really close. We'll see.
By the way, wouldn't it be crazy to see Minnesota make the finals? Especially after beginning of last year, and people were like, "This Gobert trade is crazy," and all last year the theme was like, "Was that trade one of the dumbest trades that could have been made?" What is Minnesota doing? They are going nowhere. Should they blow it up? And now they have a shot at the finals.
Yeah, my good friend is a Timberwolves fan, and we were talking the other day, and I don't think the Knicks and the Timberwolves have been good at the same time ever. So this is because they were in the late 90s, they made the playoffs a few years in a row, but they lost in the first round every time.
Okay.
And then by the time they made their conference finals, that was when the Knicks had Isaiah Thomas, and so I think this is the first time both teams have gotten past the first round ever. Actually, I just looked at his.
It is. Okay, this is the first time they both in the same season have gotten to the second round?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, Minnesota's only gotten to the second round in 2004 and this year.
it's amazing with like having Kevin Garnett all those years. They only made it past the first round once with Kevin Garnett.
I mean, the second best player was Wally. Like
No, I mean they didn't. It's amazing they couldn't surround. They couldn't figure out how to surround him with a better team.
The
You
one
had
year
one of the
they-
best players in the league, and you couldn't figure it out.
yeah, that one year they got an older Sprewell and they made it to the conference finals. Like
Yeah,
they really needed just like one other guy, and couldn't really hold that together.
yeah. Did you know Brunson is the third player in NBA history with 4 consecutive playoff games with 35 plus points and 5 assists? He joins Michael Jordan and LeBron James.
I heard those guys are pretty good.
I think so. I will also say I know there's no need to do a Jalen Brunson Carmelo comparison, and I think there is no need, but I do think Jalen Brunson's the best Knick since Patrick Ewing.
I mean, I do too. I don't want to start a war with the hardcore Melo fans, but I do.
Melo was awesome, but if you want to just go on just playoff success, at the very least, JB is in the second round twice. Melo was only in one, and JB will be Brunson maybe go to the conference finals or win a title or two. Who knows? It's crazy to have Jalen Brunson be this insanely good. I mean, crazy to have him be this insanely good anyway, but he's also 27.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So
this team could legitimately be good for like 5 or 6 years.
I'm
really good.
He's extension eligible this summer. I assume the Knicks will give him a max contract, and he will be here through his prime. I like in the past I've gotten like excited about like we thought like RJ be good and we're like, oh, we're gonna have RJ all this time and blah blah blah. Jalen Brunson is a superstar, and now we have a superstar for the next first of all, I'm positive Brunson will sign the extension, and we'll have this superstar for a long time. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Also, interesting fact was, Greg Harvey posted this on Twitter. Brunson, Dante, and Hart, they are the second trio in NBA history, second college trio in NBA history to win a playoff series. The last time that happened prior to that were 3 guys you will not recognize their names that played for Kentucky in 1948-49.
Oh, okay.
They did it in 1948, basically, these 3 guys. So
when there was
before
8,
the NBA barely existed at that point.
Yeah, there
That's the last
was
time
like 8 teams, so the odds of that happening were pretty good.
And it only happened. This is the first time since then that 3 players who played together in college won a playoff series in the NBA, which is just crazy.
So basically the first time. Like, I feel like anything that happened in the 40s like doesn't really count.
Yeah. If you had said to me, did the NBA exist in 1948? I would have said,
Maybe.
I don't know.
Why don't you tell me?
I knew that answer. Anyway, I'm super excited for this series. Knicks, anything else you want to talk about, Jay?
No, I think we covered everything. How about you?
Yeah. Brunson's going to have an awesome series. Dante is going to step up. He's going to hit the threes. I think McBride's going to be really good. I think they'll get – everyone's going to play a lot of minutes. Hopefully they don't have to play everyone 48 minutes. Do you think Mitch and Ihart are going to have a good series?
I think they're going to have a good series, not a great series.
Okay, well, I guess you're already doubting.
I just think I think it's tough on Mitch. He doesn't get out to the 3-point line well, and that's Turner lives out there.
He has to be better about not allowing 4-point plays. That would be good.
Yeah.
I just think for Indiana to win this series, Halliburton has to be Jalen Brunson in the first round. He's got to be that level of player, and I just don't think he's going to do that. Yeah.
All right, so download the Autograph app, use code NYKP, and win rewards, and email us nyknickspodcast@gmail.com if you want to have some drinks with us at Stout this coming Friday at 6:30 p.m.
So, the game is not at 6:30 though. I mean, we'll get there at 6:30. Okay, assume the game's at 7.
The game's at 7. So get there at 6:30, order food, order drinks, and be ready to go for 7.
Yeah, let's do this.
Just to make a reservation, everyone has to be there at the same time. So that's why I'm saying 6:30. All right.
Okay.
So Yes, thanks for listening, and we will be back soon. Knicks in 5 or 6. Goodbye.
5. Like, don't stop it, Jay.
Okay, bye.
Our next show will be a happy recap on the Knicks dumbing.
Sounds good.
Go.
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna